Here we go. The Leafs Convo back on StreamYard and YouTube, and then later all of the podcast platforms. You choose one. I'm Norm in London, Ontario. Michelangelo, my good friend, podcast partner for over a decade now, is in Cheektowaga, New York. Mike, let's go straight to the YouTube page, youtube.com/theleafsconvo. The question for the OGs and converts: are you ready to hand Jack Campbell the keys to the Leafs net? 228 votes, Mike. 54% say yes.
Well, I can understand why, because the latest edition of Frederik Andersen, after coming back from the injury on March the 3rd, has not been good. And now we know probably the reason why, because Freddie Andersen is not making the trip to Ottawa, and Sheldon Keefe has indicated that he's going to be out at least 7 to 10 days. They're not specifying what, just that it's the lower body injury that he had previously. And I think the mindset that they're taking right now is, the Leafs have 4 games this week, and Campbell will probably play 3 of them if he can stay healthy. And that's the big thing that everybody's keeping their fingers crossed about, because he played great last Saturday, and they're hoping that he can continue playing like that. But he did get injured after coming back against Edmonton last month. So going with Campbell is a concern, in the sense that they really have, if he tweaks his groin or leg or whatever the injury was, then it's Michael Hutchinson again, and then we're in deep trouble. But I think there's a lot of confidence that Campbell can continue to play well, and Leaf fans are looking to see how that happens, or if it happens.
Masset Atkas, dyslexic, Irish, Alino Prespis, that's a great name, all joining us on StreamYard right now. More are on their way. Watching some morning highlights as we get the James family ready for the school day and then the work day. On one of the sports shows, Mike Futa was asked if Jack Campbell could carry the load between the pipes in Toronto, never mind all the pressure and stuff like that. But, based on Mike Futa's understanding of Jack Campbell with the LA Kings, and then obviously Mike Futa is getting his start to claim the fame as being a builder in hockey with the Owen Sound attack, and then moving on from there. He thinks, yes, this is Jack Campbell's time. Whether the injuries are avoided remains to be seen. But based on Campbell's ability, his experience, the opportunity that's at hand, let's just say if the guy can stay healthy, the Leafs may have found their new leader between the pipes.
Well, it's possible. All I can say is that Futa knows Campbell well, being part of the LA Kings, scouting staff and managerial staff, and as you said, being in the OHL when Campbell was at Windsor and with the Sioux. He's well aware of his capabilities, and he was a high draft pick. He was picked 11th overall in 2010, so he was expected to be a number 1 goaltender. And then it took many years for him to get out of the Dallas system and get to Los Angeles, where he worked with Bill Ranford and sort of turned his career around. And we see the goalie that that they have today. He carried a load with LA the one year when Jonathan Quick was hurt. Him and Cal Peterson split duty, and he's capable of playing a sizable chunk. That was the intention when going into the season. They did not want to play Freddie Andersen, say 45 of the 56 games. I think they wanted to go more like 30 and 26 or 34 and 22. They were trying to go like 60-40, and that didn't happen because Campbell got hurt, and then Anderson got hurt, and now we are where we are. But I think the Leafs right now in the immediate future are putting their themselves into Jack Campbell's hands, and it's up to him to see whether he can carry the load.
This is the Leafs Convo for Oak Ridge Ford, Norman, London. Mike taking a big swig in Cheektowaga, New York. The Leafs with 20 wins, 10 regulation losses, 2 of those overtime defeat thingies. Still around the top of the Scotia North Division, but the best of the best in the NHL in terms of points and goals and just preparedness for what's to come. The elite have caught up to where the Leafs were. Mike, are the Leafs among the 5 best teams in the league, pound for pound?
That I think that's yet to be determined. I mean, we've seen a familiar pattern. They come out of the gate a little slow, then they have a great month or two, and then there's that inevitable slump or downturn or whatever you want to call it, and then sometimes they recover and sometimes they don't. Right now, I mean, the way the team was playing after the 3-game sweep against Edmonton, you'd say they're one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the league, but then they lose 6 of 7 and things start to fall apart a little bit. Now, they've benefited from the fact that they are well rested now, and some of these other teams that are being run ragged by playing 5 games in 7 nights, they'll be able to take advantage of those teams early on in the next week or two, but then they're going to be just like them in terms of being worn down. And it's all a question of what Kyle Dubas does at the trade deadline, whether he adds some help to the roster or whether this is the team that they go forward with. And I mean, based on his words last week, he's looking to make a deal and he's open and willing to make a deal. But I just heard Bob McKenzie say that the market is like frozen right now because of cap constraints and quarantine concerns and things of that nature. I mean, we may not see as many trades as we did last year. I think it was over 40 trades. There may be as little as half of that amount, but we'll see.
Yeah. Erish in the comments emphasizing a few times that Mikael Granlund is the main target for the Maple Leafs ahead of any sort of trade deadline. Frank Cervelli making a point of that, and we've been talking about Mikael Granlund being connected to the Maple Leafs for a few weeks now.
Yeah,
it's nice to bring accessories on board, players who will help make you better.
Yeah,
you and I are both in agreement that Mikael Granlund, at face value, doesn't make the Maple Leafs really any better than they are. That remains to be seen if they even acquire him, and if he does take the team to the next level. But his history as a hockey player, what he is, the kind of player he's shaped into, and what the Maple Leafs we think they need, I don't think that jives.
Yeah, I mean, a move for Granlund would simply be furthering the depth at forward of the team. Now, Cervelli did report that, but Dave Poulin had a really interesting observation. He was of the same mind as you and I that they don't really need another skill guy like Granlund, that they probably need somebody up front like Wayne Simmons, somebody with a little beef, somebody who could withstand and dish out some punishment against heavier teams like Montreal and Winnipeg in the playoffs. He seemed to think that Granlund's name has been out there for so long, and that there was a natural attachment to the Leafs because they had tried to sign him in the offseason, that simply that rumor is just circulating and recirculating. I mean, I talked to some people in Nashville, and they basically told me, you're never going to hear about a deal that David Poile is going to make until it's made.
Yeah.
And Kyle Dubas is, one thing that Kyle Dubas learned from Lou Lamoriello was to hold his cards close to the vest. So do I think Granlund is possible? Yes. Do I like it? I don't think it really moves the ball at all. I would prefer if it was a lesser player who doesn't play in your top 9, like a guy like I think I mentioned before, a guy like Lawson Krause who can really crash and bang. I would prefer that over a move for Granlund, because I just don't think Granlund's going to really help.
Can you get a lesser move than Mikael Granlund? He's not the cherry on top. This isn't the guy that the organization historically has been waiting for to take them to the next level. He's a depth move. And Mike, you just prefaced our conversation about this with, it's frozen. It's difficult. Not only are there cap ramifications, teams constrained by their finances and what they're capable of doing, but let's not forget the whole quarantine period that some teams just may want to say, screw it. But we don't want to bother with it. We don't feel like we're in a position to do anything substantial right now. So let's not go down that road. So maybe Mikael Granlund is just a move for the sake of adding depth. And hey, Kyle Dubas in the brass will say Tavares, Nylander, Marner, Matthews, Thornton, Simmons, Brody, Riley. You guys are good enough. Here you go. I mean, we expected the best from you. You brought to the table some really good plays so far. Let's see you finish up the second half strong, bust down the border, and go take it to them.
Well, I mean, it would be ironic, and Jeff O'Neill said this on the radio today, and I sort of chuckled at it because it's always been a sore spot for me. If this team went out a few years ago when they legitimately had no chance to win the Stanley Cup and sacrificed a second-round pick to trade for Brian Boyle and a second-round pick to trade for Thomas Plekanec, when they actually do have a chance to win the Stanley Cup and they do nothing, it's unconscionable. Now, I saw there was a report online of Kyle Dubas, watching over the Ottawa Senators because the Leafs play the Sens tomorrow. I mean, there's always a possibility the Sens are definitely going to sell. There's always a possibility of them doing a deal with them or doing a deal with Vancouver because the 14-day quarantine wouldn't be a factor there. They would basically get the player and that player could go right back in the lineup. Now, there's guys like Ryan Dzingel there. That might be a possibility because he's a feisty guy. I wouldn't have a problem with him as a deadline ad, but again, I mean, who knows what Ottawa is going to ask, and you have to factor in the fact that if you're giving up top prospects and draft picks to a team in your own division, eventually that may come back to bite you. But Dzingel is making around the same amount of money as Granlund. In fact, it's a little less. So that could be a possibility, but it also could be that Kyle Dubas was bored and didn't want to sit in his hotel all night and decided he wanted to watch the Senators play the Flames. So, and he could be looking at the Flames. He could be looking at Sam Bennett. That's always a possibility too.
Expect the unexpected.
Yes.
Expect the expected. Who knows? I asked if this team was among the top 5 in the league on paper. It has been for years now. Most of its play this season has put the team among the best in the league. Over the last month or so, it hasn't been as great. What are they going to give us down the stretch? Are they going to be the team that we think they can be based on who they are, their pedigree, collectively, historically? Then this team should be number 1 in the Scotia North, among the top 10 for sure. And again, the benchmark overall is the Stanley Cup, but in reality, Mike, it's winning the first round because this group, the Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, and William Nylander group, has not been able to do that. OG's converts, the hoodie, okay, a bunch have gone out. There it is again. A bunch have gone out. Thank you to everyone who has contributed a little bit back to the whole project. So here's the thing. We're going to do a contest. I have a large hoodie to give away. Okay, you don't have to pay for anything. I'll pay for the shipping. But I have a question for you. Okay, this is a bit hokey, but whatever. Mike and I started working together over the airwaves in 2009. So what I'm looking for is I need the OGs and converts who want to get involved in this contest to win a large Leafs Convo hoodie to tell me which radio station Mike and I first collabed on. theleafsconvo@gmail.com. I need an answer that's correct. I need your name. I need your address. And I will post the winner tomorrow sometime. So we'll let it season a little bit. So I want to know the radio station that Mike and I first collabed on back in 2009. You can look it up. Just go online. That if you have that answer and I have your name and your address and you show some exuberance, some enthusiasm, you want to be a part of, repping us, then you may get selected. Mike, Travis Boyd, bye-bye. another Maple Leaf that, did yeoman's work, gone to waivers, but that's the business.
Yeah, the Vancouver Canucks are always picking up the Leafs discards.
Yeah.
No, I mean, this obviously Kyle Dubas is trying to maneuver things to open up as much space on the cap, and in both moves that he's made over the last week and a half, I think they wanted to keep Jimmy Vesey, and I think they wanted to keep Travis Boyd, but they wanted to move them down to the taxi squad, and it didn't work because Vancouver claimed them. And obviously, again, it's the fact that Vancouver didn't have to wait 14 days to claim somebody who was from an American club. That's somebody they could put right back in their lineup or right into the lineup right away. And the funny thing is that VC was claimed last week, and Vancouver tried to insert VC in the lineup in Ottawa, apparently because he's an American. His work visa had the Maple Leafs on there, and you're not allowed to change it apparently immediately to, he couldn't play with the work visa as the Leafs. He had to have it changed to Vancouver for him to be able to play. So it was a little strange thing, but I mean, they didn't want to lose Travis Boyd, and now there's a little bit of a concern. But if you look at the depth of the organization, and I wrote about this week, you've got Barabanov, you've got Agostino, you've got Joey Anderson. So, Nick Robertson, when he's healthy, he's progressing. So you've got 3 or 4 potential answers there to insert in the lineup. But right now they're carrying 12 forwards, 6 defensemen, and 3 goaltenders. So they're carrying the bare minimum of 20 or 21, depending on whether Anderson goes to the IR for the 7 days. So he's trying, meaning Dubas, is trying to conserve as much salary room as possible to make that move before April the 12th.
So the OGs think the Leafs need a forward, a defenseman, depending on Jack Campbell, and his history doesn't give you too much encouragement as to what this guy's going to end up doing. If he gets hurt too, and Freddie Anderson, you can't rely on his health, and you can't rely on his consistency. The hell are the Leafs going to do in that? Maybe they need to get a goaltender too. That's a big cluster F in and of itself. If it comes to be, let's hope that things smoothen out a little bit, and it starts with a win, some sort of victory, even a moral victory over the Senators. And then, you've got Edmonton for 2. If they can, at least get 2, 3 or 4 points and then beat Winnipeg, you put some distance between yourself and the Oilers and the Jets, who are nipping at their heels with 24 games to go. I mean, is this going to be a run to the finish line, or are the Leafs going to be able to kind of get into a groove? All the other stuff notwithstanding, get set for what's really at stake, and that's a first-round win and beyond, Mike. Just a few more minutes, and then we'll get out of here.
Well, I mean, you would hope that they'd be able to get off on a good start here, but as we both know, Ottawa's Stanley Cup is playing the Leafs and the Canadiens, and they've really played tough against the Leafs. They have goaltending issues. Joey Decor, who got his first NHL victory against the Leafs a couple weeks ago, he's out with a leg injury, so now they're playing the human sieve known as Anton Forsberg, and more than likely he'll stand on his head and pretend he's Henrik Lundqvist. But they need to beat Ottawa. The Ottawa is a very beatable team, and they're playing the second of back-to-back. But
we always say that, Mike.
Yeah, exactly.
Ottawa's beatable, and the Leafs shit the bed. Buffalo sucks. The Leafs go in there. It's the house of horrors.
Going back to the Atlanta Thrashers when they were one of the worst teams in the league, I remember them coming into the Air Canada Center and beating the Leafs with regularity.
Steve Ruchin, Ilya Kovalchuk,
Yeah.
Jason Williams. Who else was on that team?
Oh God, Evander King. Ray Ferraro was on that team for a while.
Ray Ferraro, amazing.
Yeah. So, but I mean, this is the issue. I mean, this is a team that's got to beat the teams that they should beat, and at least go 500 against the teams that they're competing with. I mean, it would be nice for them to beat Edmonton 2 more times, but I'm sure Edmonton's going to be worked up to put in a good effort against a team that's swept in 3 in a row in Edmonton. But I mean, the interesting thing here is Austin Matthews has been in a little bit of a scoring slump.
Yeah.
Of course, it coincided with the wrist injury, and ever since we've heard that, then that's been like, oh, he's not shooting as much. I just think I think he's still shooting and still shooting well. It's just things are not going in. Everything is cyclical. The thing I'm encouraged about is Alex Galchenyuk has actually played really well on that second line. So right now, I think the need for the forward is a lot less than the need for a defenseman, because they have 6 defensemen. Rasmus Sandin is just getting back from the foot injury that he had. Then your next 2 choices are either Timothy Liljegren or, dare I say, Marty Marincin. And if Martin Marincin gets in the lineup, all bets are off, folks. That guy is a cluster of the highest order. Yeah.
Top pairing with Morgan Riley.
There you go.
30 minutes a night, third round, grinding it out.
Killing penalties and putting the puck in his own net. There you go.
Oh, what a grinder. Our friends who are in the comments right now are really letting me down. Clearly, we don't have too many devotees, Mike. I'm not seeing any answers to my question. I was thinking about it. I'm like, this should be easy. The radio station, guys, is in London. Okay, you just bringing up, all these places. So it's in London.
We weren't on the Fan 590.
It wasn't the Fan. We were too X-rated. We weren't family friendly enough for the Fan 590 and 640. I was on a few times. Whatever, guys. Thanks a lot. Good decision making. But and then Mike, obviously, with Leafs Talk, the legendary Andy Frost. That's how we hooked up, Mike.
Yes.
You were doing Leafs Talk, and I listened all the time. And actually, funny story about that. The second last guy to do a comment on the last ever Leafs Talk, it's a guy from London, Anthony Glavinick. He's a tennis pro. He's a huge Habs fan. So you know the way Habs fans were. The inferiority complex had to listen to all the Leafs stuff so they can chime in. How the hell did Anthony Glavinick make it, as the what would you say, the penultimate caller for this historical show? And now you were the last caller, rightly so. But anyway, I digress. So Mike and I would listen to the show, and Mike and I got friendly on Twitter, and I had asked you if you could join me on my radio, stupid little show that I had going on an affiliate in London, part of the Chorus Radio Network. And you know what, man?
Give me more clues there, Norm. It's going to be very easy for them.
Nobody's going to get it. The thing is, once this show goes to YouTube and we get a lot of the true OGs and converts who know us very well, not to say that the people who are listening right now aren't down with us. We love you guys. Thank you so much. I think we'll have a few answers. So we just need the radio station that Mike and I first collabed on, theleafsconvo@gmail.com. I need the answer. I need your name. I need your address. Just tell me why you want to rep us with a hoodie. And I'll pick a winner tomorrow, and I'll fire that thing off tomorrow. And I want to get as many hoodies and, Leafs gear out to the masses, because you guys are the best of the best. I had one other point that I wanted to make here, Mike. Go ahead.
Well, think about that, but I'll give you a bit of trivia about that last phone call to that last Leaf Talk.
Yeah.
I was credentialed media at that point. I was going to many games, and that was the last regular season game.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually made the phone call from the media room at Air Canada Center. So it was like I started calling Leaf Talk in 1997 as a fan from Buffalo. Calling Andy Frost, then calling Leafs Lunch with Jeff Merrick and Bill Waters. And at the end of my run as a caller, I was a member of the Professional Hockey Writers Association, calling from Air Canada Center, doing the calls. And to this, if Andy Frost was still doing a show, even though I'm a writer and in the press box a lot, I would still be calling.
What a legend. And I put you, in terms of legendary callers and references to that show, just below Nigel Cadbury. Anthony Taglieri. Can't wait to get my hoodie, guys. Anthony, you're going to be repping here real soon. God bless the Canadian Postal Service or whatever they call it. When you get your hoodie in July, I hope it's not too hot to wear it. Anthony Glavnik story, because I'm going to send him this link, and he's going to get mad because I mentioned the Hab fans out there and their inferiority complex. I'm kidding, Anthony. Sort of. He's a good guy, a good friend of mine, golfing buddy. He sends referrals to Oak Ridge Ford, and they do car deals. So that's another thing, guys. If you know anybody who's looking for a car, send them my way. I pay you for that. But here's the thing: I am extremely busy, like all the time. So if you're sending people to me, let's be orderly about it. But again, though, I appreciate the support that way, and I do compensate. Mike, one thing I wanted to mention before we go, we should wrap it up here because we're approaching the half-hour mark. Did I see a hit job on John Tavares in the Sun?
I didn't.
Did I see that? Or did I see a link? Did I see a link to that, or did I see comments about John Tavares not living up to his contract and the billing and all that jazz? And I'm wondering, is the remedy number 16? If you put number 16, you flank him on John Tavares's wing. Does all of that change?
I know that earlier in the year, at the beginning of the season, after he got off to his hot start and then slowed down a little bit, Steve Simmons wrote a column about Tavares. I thought it was a valid criticism, but I don't think he was slamming John Tavares. And I really, I know that everybody is out there saying, "Oh, he's making $11 million and he's not even scoring."
He is, and you're not. So whatever.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's like, okay, his job as a second line center. I mean, Austin Matthews is going to get the top line minutes. Tavares is going to get a little less. He's playing with Nylander. Matthews is playing with Marner. I mean, when Tavares played with Marner, he scored 47 goals. Tavares is getting the difficult matchups, especially at home, against the other team's number one centers because he's more experienced, and they want Marner and Matthews to be free and thinking all offense and maybe not thinking about defense as much, although they're pretty good two-way players. So I don't think the criticism of Tavares is valid. I don't think there's a concern right now that he's slipping. I mean, okay, he was never the fastest skater in the world when they signed him. They knew that. I think he's living up to the expectations, and all this will disappear if there is criticism if they win a couple rounds in the playoffs. But until they do, every little bit of criticism will stick and will be out there.
So Tavares and Nylander aren't on the same level as Marner and Matthews. If you mix those guys up, as many people have suggested Sheldon Keefe should, what are they? And is this is the ultimate point production of Matthews and Tavares tied to either one of those guys playing with Mitch Marner? And it's we can talk about it because we've seen Marner is a great facilitator and can really inflate the possibilities and the capabilities of already great players. But this team from top to bottom has lots of stars, and these guys have to shine in their own right. I'd like to see Tavares and Nylander get their heads out of their asses. Not to say they haven't been good, but they can be better. They can be better, and we don't need Nylander's minions devising some odd, strange plan for Mitch Marner to be sent to Alvinston so that Nylander can be anointed the ride shotgun with Matthews, because that was the career plan all along. These guys are going to have to dig in where they are and get the job done. Just before we go, Arish wants to know if we can make a final prediction on who the Leafs will get. Granlund, I guess. Calle Johansson. Yeah,
I don't. I'll say this: I don't buy that it's going to be Granlund. I could be wrong.
What's he gonna do?
It's because it's out there too much.
Yeah.
And, it's like other than the James Van Riemsdyk for Luke Schenn trade, which was talked about for about a year, I have never seen a deal where the player was talked about so much and then ended up going to that team. I think there are other players out there that make more sense. And as the insiders on TSN said, if Nashville, and they're only 4 points out of a playoff spot, if they think that they're still in the playoffs, then they're probably not going to trade off their rentals in Granlund and Eric Halla and a couple other guys. So then the Leafs are probably going to have to go to plan B, C, or D. So I think that is more likely than them giving up significant assets for Mikael Granlund. I think it'll be somebody else.
We like acquisitions, Mike. It's exciting when new players come on board. But for moves for the sake of moves to stock the shelves, depth moves on a team this good, so what? They may pay dividends without us even knowing at some point or caring. That's fine. But a team like this with this much talent in this kind of position, you want to see something that is of magnitude. The question is the environment, is it conducive to that type of move, right? Last point to you, we got to go.
I think the environment is. I think that Kyle Dubas has said we want to make a move. We're willing to trade a top prospect. So I think they want to do it. I think they can do it. It's a question of whether they will do it.
Well, can Jack Campbell be the guy? Can he be the number one? Hold the fort down, backstop this team to a run, and then have Freddie Anderson watch him carry the team towards the playoffs? That's the big question right now, and I hope the answer is a positive one. Don't forget, guys, we want to find out from you. The first radio station Mike and I collabed on back in 2009. We were there for about a year and a half. And send that to theleafsconvo@gmail.com. Your name, why you want to rep the Leafs Convo with our paraphernalia. And we'll select the winner sometime on Thursday, March 25th. That's it for Mike. I'm Norm. We're out.